Hello, class. Good to see you again. This is American English File, 2nd edition, Book 2, Student Book, Part 7C. Learn a language in a month. Everyone, look at the pictures. What do you see? Yeah, some signs. All right. For example, what does this one say? Don't turn. How about this one? Be quiet. What about this one? No smoking. Don't smoke. And this one? No entry. Okay. So, what do they show you? They show you some rules, some things to follow, right? Now, I have some questions for you. Do you always follow the rules? Are there any rules that you don't like? Do you have any specific rules in your life? Is it important to follow the rules? Are rules sometimes a problem? If you could set a rule in your work, gym, or any place, what would it be? Can rules change with technology? How? Now, everybody, you can add your own questions. Answer these questions, and I need you to speak with your partner and classmates. Exchange your ideas. Let's talk. Well done. That was a very good discussion. Now, everyone, look. Part 1, grammar. Have to, don't have to, must not, can't. Everybody, match the signs to the rules. Okay, do it. Okay, let's check it together. You have to pay before the end of the month. C. All right, courses fees to be paid in advance. Number 2, you don't have to pay to see this. Which one is it? B. Tonight's movie, Titanic, admission free. Admission free, no need to pay. Number 3, you must not eat here. E. All right, you can see, no food to be taken into the library. And number 4, you must turn off your cell phone before you come in. A. You can see there's this cell phone and this red band on it. And the last one, you can't talk here, of course. D. There's the exam, so you can't talk. Well done. Now, we're not finished. Look at the highlighted expressions, these expressions. You have to, you don't have to, all right? And answer the questions, okay? Number 1, which 2 phrases mean it is a rule, there is an obligation to do it? It means you should do it. Okay, you have to. What is the next one? You must do it. Number 2, which phrase means it isn't obligatory or it isn't necessary? Which one is it? You don't have to. And number 3, the last one, which 2 phrases mean it isn't permitted, it's against the rules? All right, can you tell me? You must not, you can't. All right, well done. So far, so good. But this is just the start. Follow me. Everyone, listen and practice.
3.34.
I have to get up at 7 every day.
She has to speak English at work.
We don't have to wear a uniform at this school.
He doesn't have to work on Saturdays.
Do I have to buy a grammar book?
What time does she have to get up in the morning?
Good. So, use have to plus verb, the base form. For example, I have to get up. She has to speak. All right? To talk about rules and obligations. It's a rule. Do you remember? We talked about it. Use don't have to, again, plus the base form of the verb to say that there is no obligation or that something is not necessary. It's not a rule. Okay? For example, we don't have to wear a uniform at this school. He doesn't have to work on Saturdays. Okay? Use do or does to make questions and negatives. For example, do I have to go? All right? Or he doesn't have to work on Saturdays. So you make negatives or you switch. Do I have to buy a grammar book? I have to buy a grammar book. Do I have to buy a grammar book? All right? That's how you make it into a question. And don't contract have or has. You don't use contractions. I have to go, not I have to go. No. You don't use contractions. Important. Pay attention. Now, everybody, again, must not, can't. Listen and practice.
3.35.
You must do your homework tonight.
She must clean up her room before she goes out.
You must not leave your bags here.
You can't bring food into the library.
All right. Now, again, everyone, use must plus the base form of the verb to talk about rules and obligations. Use can't or must not, again, plus the base form to say something is prohibited or to state a rule. Okay, for example, you must do your homework tonight. The negative, you must not leave your bags here, or you can't bring food into the library. Good. The words can't and must not have similar meanings, but can't is more common in speaking when you are talking, right? And you can also use cannot. All right. Now, everybody, the verbs must or must not are the same for all persons, right? You don't change it. The verb must is not often used in questions. Have to is more common. All right. For example, do I have to buy a grammar book? Have to is more common. It's better to use have to. All right. Must and have to. Must and have to are very similar, but have to is more common, especially in speaking when you talk. Must is often used in official forms, notices or signs, okay? Official. Must not and don't have to. Must not and don't have to have completely different meanings. Pay attention. You must not go. You can't go. It's prohibited. You don't have to go. You can go if you want to, but it's not necessary, obligatory. All right? Now, impersonal you. Pay attention to this one. We often use have to and must with impersonal you. You, it means people in general. Okay, for example, you have to wear a seatbelt in a car. You can't take photos in the museum. We refer to general people, all right? Not just a specific person. All good. Now you know what you're supposed to do. Review the page if you have to. Okay, when you're ready, let's practice together. You know what time it is. It's time to practice. I have two exercises for you. The first exercise, complete the sentences with the correct form of have to. For example, I don't have to go to school on Saturdays, right? Exercise B, circle the correct form. Have to, don't have to, must, must not, or can't, and check if both forms are possible, if both of them are correct. Okay, as always, I need you to stop the video and do it. Very good. Check your answers with your friends. Okay, let's do it together. Number one, Janice has to study very hard. She has exams soon. Number two, you have to stop your car at a red light. Number three, Does your sister have to go to Los Angeles for her job interview? Number 4. Do you have to finish this now? Number 5. We have to get up early tomorrow. Our flight leaves at 6:30. Number 6. Will doesn't have to work today. His store is closed. Number 7. I have to go now. It's very late. Or you can say, I must go now. It's very late. And the last one, do we have to go to bed? It's only 10 o'clock. Good. Exercise B. All right, number 1, you must not touch the oven. It's hot. All right, it's a obligatory thing. All right. Number 2, do you have to send a photo with your passport form? Number 3, the concert is free. You don't have to pay. Number 4, I'm late for a meeting. I have to go now. Or you can say, I must go now. Both of them are correct. Number 5, you must not leave the door open. The dog will get out. Number 6, you don't have to come if you don't want to. I can go by myself. Number 7, you can't use this computer. It's broken. And the last one, you don't have to be very tall to play soccer. Right? Well done, everybody. As always, you got it all right. So far, so good. D. With a partner, complete 4 sentences about the school where you are learning English. For example, we have to, we must, we don't have to, we must not, we can't. Okay? 5 sentences I need you to write. Do it right now.
A few moments later.
Good. Now that you have written your rules, compare your rules with another pair, the other students. Which rule do you think is the most important? Okay, again, this is on you. And the last part, everybody, sentence stress. Listen and write 5 sentences. Everybody, you know the drill. Listen and write.
3.36. 1.
My sister has to travel a lot.
2. You can't smoke in here. 3.
Do you have to wear a uniform to school?
4. He doesn't have to work on weekends. 5.
You must show an ID card at the gate.
Okay, well done. Check your answers with your friends. These are the answers. Number 1, my sister has to travel a lot. Number 2, you can't smoke in here. Number 3, do you have to wear a uniform to school? Number 4, he doesn't have to work on weekends. And the last one, you must show an ID card at the gate. Well done. Good. You made it so far. Now everyone reading and listening. Do you think people from your country are good at learning languages? Why or why not? And are American people good at learning your language? Pay attention, your language. Are they good at learning your language? Okay, discuss it with your partner. Now that was a very good mini discussion, wasn't it? Now the real challenge begins. Everybody, look at this reading. Read about Max, an American journalist who took an intensive Spanish course. Okay, so Max is studying Spanish language. All right. Then cover the article and answer the questions. We have 6 questions. Everybody read the article and answer the questions. I'm going to wait for you.
A few minutes later.
Good, you're back. So first, let's read it together. I will survive in Spanish, or will I? Okay. Americans have a bad reputation for being bad at learning languages. But is it really true? I work for a newspaper that was doing a series of articles about this. As an experiment, they asked me to try and learn a completely new language for 1 month. Then I had to go to the country and take some tests to see if I could survive in different situations. That's a nice test. I decided to study Spanish because I would like to visit Puerto Rico and other places in Latin America in the future. If I go, I don't want to be the typical American who expects everyone else to speak English. Yeah, that's right. When Americans travel, they ask everybody to speak English. Right, it's true. I took a 1-month intensive course in Spanish at a language school in Washington, D.C. I was a complete beginner, but I soon found that some Spanish words are very similar to English ones. For example, hola isn't very different from hello, and inglés is very similar to English. But other things were more difficult. For example, the verbs in Spanish change for each person, and that means you have to learn a lot of different endings. My biggest problem was the pronunciation. I found it very difficult to pronounce some letters in Spanish, especially R and J. I downloaded sentences in Spanish onto my smartphone, and I listened and repeated them again and again. So far so good. When my course ended, I went to San Juan, Puerto Rico for a long weekend to take my tests. A Spanish teacher named Nilda came with me and gave me a score out of 10 for each test and then a final score for everything. Okay, what are the tests? These were the tests and the rules. Tests. Number 1, you have to order a drink and a sandwich in a cafe, ask how much it is and understand the price. Okay, number 2, you have to ask for directions on the street and follow them. Number 3, you have to take a taxi to a historical building in San Juan. And number 4, you have to leave a message on somebody's voicemail. Rules. You can't use a dictionary or phrasebook. You can't speak English at any time. You can't use your hands or mime or write anything down. Okay. Now, everybody, check your answers with your friends. Okay, let's answer the questions together, shall we? The first one. What reputation do Americans have? They have a reputation for being bad at languages. Okay, number 2. What experiment did Max's newspaper want to do? They wanted Max to learn a new language in a month. Okay, number 3. Why did Max choose to learn Spanish? Because he would like to visit Puerto Rico and other places in Latin America. Number 4. Where did he take the course? How long was it? In Washington, D.C. for 1 month. Number 5. What did he find easy and difficult about Spanish? Okay, what was easy? Vocabulary. Some words are similar to English words. And the difficult part, grammar. The verbs change for each person and pronunciation, of course. Okay, and the last question, what were the 4 tests? What were the rules? Okay, so order a drink and a sandwich, ask how much it is and understand the price. 2, ask for directions on the street. Number 3, take a taxi to a historical place. And number 4, leave a message on voicemail. The rules were, you can't use a dictionary or phrasebook, can't speak English, and you can't use your hands, mime, or write anything. Well done. All good. Okay, I want to see what happened. Which test do you think was the easiest for Max? Which do you think was the most difficult? Listen to Max taking the tests in Puerto Rico and check your answers. Okay, everybody? So listen and answer the questions. Okay.
3.37.
I arrived at the airport in San Juan, Puerto Rico, where I met Nilda. Hola, soy Max.
Encantada. Soy Nilda.
Nilda took me to my hotel, and that evening we went to eat, and it was time for my first test. I had to order a sandwich and a drink in a cafe and then ask for the check. I sat down at a table and I tried to order a soda and a chicken sandwich. Por favor, una refresco y un empanado de pollo.
Enseguida.
Terrific. The waiter understood me the first time. My pronunciation wasn't perfect, but I got my soda and my sandwich. I really enjoyed it. But then the more difficult part, asking for the check. ¿Cuánto es?
6.90.
¿Cómo?
6.90.
$6.90. I understood. Nilda gave me 8 points for the test. I was very happy with that. Next, we went out on the street. Test number 2 was asking for directions and understanding them. We were on a narrow street, and I had to stop someone and ask him or her for the nearest drugstore, una farmacia. I stopped a woman. At first, I didn't understand anything she said.
Siga derecho y tome la segunda calle a la izquierda. Hay una farmacia en esa calle.
I asked the woman to speak more slowly.
Todo derecho y tome la segunda calle a la izquierda. Izquierda.
I got it this time, I think. The second street on the left. I followed the directions, and guess what? There was a drugstore there. 7 points from Nilda. Test number 3. I wasn't looking forward to this one. I had to take a taxi to a historical place in San Juan. Nilda wrote down the name of the place on a piece of paper. It was the name of an old fort near the ocean. We stopped a taxi. El Moro, por favor.
¿Qué? ¿A dónde?
He didn't understand me. I tried again, but he still didn't understand. I was desperate, so I said, Fort, old, water.
Ah, el morro.
Finally. Nilda only gave me 5 points because I ended up using English. Still, at least I made the taxi driver understand where I wanted to go. And so to the final test. I had to leave a message in Spanish on somebody's voicemail. I had to give my name, spell it, and ask the person to call me back. Nilda gave me the number. It was one of her friends named Lourdes, and I dialed. I was feeling a little nervous at this point because talking on the phone in a foreign language is never easy.
Deje su mensaje después de la señal.
Buenas noches. Soy Max. Max? M-A-R-X. Por favor, llamarme esta noche... Oh, yes. A las 8:30. Gracias. Well, my grammar wasn't correct, but I left the message. Half an hour later, at 8:30, Lourdes called me. Success! Nilda gave me 8 points. That was the end of my 4 tests. Nilda was happy with me. My final score was 7. I was very happy with that. So, how much can you learn in a month? Well, of course you can't learn Spanish in a month, but you can learn enough to survive if you are on vacation or on a trip. Now I want to go back to Washington, D.C. and try and learn some more. Adios.
Adios. Okay, so check your answers with your friends. Okay, so the easiest test was getting a drink and a sandwich in a cafe, and the most difficult was taking a taxi to a historical place. Now I need you to listen again. Mark the sentences true or false. Correct the false information. What does it mean? For example, false. Why false? Correct it. Okay? You know the drill. Listen again.
3.37.
I arrived at the airport in San Juan, Puerto Rico, where I met Nilda. Hola, soy Max.
Encantada. Soy Nilda.
Nilda took me to my hotel, and that evening we went to eat, and it was time for my first test. I had to order a sandwich and a drink in a cafe, and then ask for the check. I sat down at a table, and I tried to order a soda and a chicken sandwich. Por favor, una refresco y un empanado de pollo.
Enseguida.
Terrific! The waiter understood me the first time. My pronunciation wasn't perfect, but I got my soda and my sandwich. I really enjoyed it. But then the more difficult part, asking for the check. ¿Cuánto es?
6.90.
¿Cómo?
6.90.
$6.90. I understood. Nilda gave me 8 points for the test. I was very happy with that. Next, we went out on the street. Test number 2 was asking for directions and understanding them. We were on a narrow street, and I had to stop someone and ask him or her for the nearest drugstore, una farmacia. I stopped a woman. At first, I didn't understand anything she said.
Siga derecho y tome la segunda calle a la izquierda. Hay una farmacia en esa calle.
I asked the woman to speak more slowly.
Todo derecho y tome la segunda calle a la izquierda. Izquierda.
I got it this time, I think. The second street on the left. I followed the directions, and guess what? There was a drugstore there. 7 points from Nilda. Test number 3. I wasn't looking forward to this one. I had to take a taxi to a historical place in San Juan. Nilda wrote down the name of the place on a piece of paper. It was the name of an old fort near the ocean. We stopped a taxi. El Morro, por favor.
¿Qué? ¿A dónde?
He didn't understand me. I tried again, but he still didn't understand. I was desperate, so I said, Fort, old, water.
Ah, el morro.
Finally. Nilda only gave me 5 points because I ended up using English. Still, at least I made the taxi driver understand where I wanted to go. And so to the final test. I had to leave a message in Spanish on somebody's voicemail. I had to give my name, spell it, and ask the person to call me back. Nilda gave me the number. It was one of her friends named Lourdes, and I dialed. I was feeling a little nervous at this point because talking on the phone in a foreign language is never easy.
Deje su mensaje después de la señal.
Buenas noches. Soy Max. Max? M-A-R-X. Por favor, llamarme esta noche... Oh, yes. A las 8:30. Gracias. Well, my grammar wasn't correct, but I left the message. Half an hour later, at 8:30, Lourdes called me. Success! Nilda gave me 8 points. That was the end of my 4 tests. Nilda was happy with me. My final score was 7. I was very happy with that. So, how much can you learn in a month? Well, of course you can't learn Spanish in a month, but you can learn enough to survive if you are on vacation or on a trip. Now I want to go back to Washington, D.C. and try and learn some more. Adios.
But that was interesting, wasn't it? Okay, so let's answer the questions. True or false? Number 1, the waiter didn't understand Max. False, the waiter understood him the first time. Number 2, the bill was $6. False, it was $6.90. Number 3, the drugstore was on the first street on the right. False, it was the second street on the left. Number 4, the driver understood the name of the fort. False, he didn't understand. Number 5, Max made a grammar mistake when he left the voicemail message. True. Number 6, Max's final score was 8. False, his final score was 7. And the last one, Max says you can learn Spanish in a month. False, you can't learn Spanish in a month, but you can learn enough to survive. Just the basics, right? Very good. You made it so far. Part 4, vocabulary, modifiers. Look, my pronunciation of the fort wasn't very good. I was feeling a little nervous at this point. Very, a little, extremely, fairly, really. These are called modifiers. Now everybody complete the chart with the words in the box. These words, the modifiers, and pay attention. We use a little or a little bit only before negative adjectives and adverbs. For example, a little difficult, or a little bit difficult, or a little slowly, or a little bit slowly. After you do it, complete the sentences with one of the words or phrases so that it makes a true sentence. Compare with a partner. The answer to part B depends on you. Stop the video and do it. Very good. Check your answers with your friends. Okay, let's do it together. Spanish is extremely difficult, really difficult, very difficult, go down, fairly difficult, a little bit difficult, not very difficult. This is the order of the modifiers. Okay, now the rest depends on you. Modifiers. Okay, do you remember Max's tests? The 4 tests. All right. How well do you think you could do Max's 4 tests in English? Why? For example, I think I could order a drink and a sandwich fairly well. Yeah? Then talk to your partner. Have you ever spoken to a tourist in English? When and why? Have you ever had to speak in English on the phone? Who to? What about? Have you ever seen a movie or a video clip in English? Which? Did it have subtitles? How much did you understand? Have you ever read a book or magazine in English? Which one or which ones? Have you ever asked for directions in English in a foreign city? Where? What happened? Have you ever used an app or website to improve your English? Which one? Have you ever learned another foreign language? How well can you speak it? Oh well, you know what time it is. Speak with your friends. You're doing great. I'm proud of you. Now everybody writing a formal email. If you have a business or if you work for a company, you may need to send a lot of emails to other companies and you have to use the formal format. So this one is very good for you. First, read the email to a language school. Check the questions that Ryu wants the school to answer. Ryu Yamada is the sender of the email. Okay, read it. Very good. Now let's read the email together. Dear sir or madam, that's how you start. I am writing to ask for information about your language courses. I am especially interested in an intensive course of 2 or 3 weeks. I am 31 years old, and I work in the library at the University of Tokyo. I can read English quite well, but I need to improve my listening and speaking. I have looked at your website, but there is no information about intensive courses next summer. Could you please send me information about dates and prices? I would also like some information about accommodations. If possible, I would like to stay with a family. My wife is going to visit me for a weekend when I am at the school. Could she stay with me at the same family's home? I look forward to hearing from you. Sincerely, Ryu Yamada. Okay, so which questions Ryu wants the school to answer? Okay. How much do the courses cost? When do the courses start and end? Where can I stay? Okay, very good, very nice. Now everybody, look at the highlighted expressions. How would they be different in an informal email or letter? So, informal, okay? For example, dear sir or madam, what can you say instead? Dear X, hi, hello. I am writing to ask for, I'm writing. I would like, I'd like. So you can use contractions in informal emails. I look forward to hearing from you. Can't wait to hear from you. Look forward to hearing from you. You can say the same. Sincerely, lots of love, best regards. Okay? But we're not finished. Now, first, look at the two posters. What are they? Painting courses in Tuscany, golf lessons in Florida. So they are advertisements, course advertisements, ads. Read the advertisements and choose a course, okay? Think of 2 or 3 questions you would like to ask, all right? You can use the model, all right? Now, write a formal email asking for information. Write 2 paragraphs. Paragraph 1, explain why you are writing and give some personal information. Paragraph 2, ask your questions and ask them to send you information. And after you write your email, check your email for mistakes, either grammar, punctuation, spelling. Now you know how to write a formal email. And another lesson done. Thank you everyone for watching. If you have a question, you can comment it down below and I will answer. It's so emotional to teach you. Bye bye.